All right, we're going to get into a Celtics versus Nets series preview after Brooklyn won in the play-in tournament on Tuesday night. But before we do that, who is your favorite Celtics player of all time? Let us know in the comments, and we'll go ahead and jump on into this series preview. What's going on? Welcome into Celtics Today by Chat Sports. We're putting this video both on our Celtics channel and on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel as the Celtics are set to play against the Brooklyn Nets in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Brooklyn, like I mentioned a moment ago, has won the play-in game against Cleveland Cavaliers. Drawing a blank there. Kyrie was fantastic for Brooklyn, by the way. I know Celtics fans love to hear that. Game 1 set for Sunday, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central Time. Celtics a 4-point favorite in the opener of that matchup, which I think is fair because Boston was the better team throughout the season. But as you guys know, Brooklyn is a dangerous and capable team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. We'll kind of look at the key matchups and break down how this series could play out. But first, I want to know who's going to win the NBA Finals this year. Who's going to cut down the Nets? Do they even do that in the NBA? I think they do. Who's going to win it all this year? Let us know in the comments section. Will it be one of these two teams? Will it be a different one? I want to know from you guys right now. You look at the matchups from this year, Boston had their way. Brooklyn won the game way back in November, but the 3 games after the New Year were really all Boston, especially those 2 middle ones, 126-91, 129-106. The more recent one was a little bit closer, 126-120. Some high-scoring outputs for Boston, especially because the Nets' defense is not that great. I think Boston matches up well with Brooklyn because they can score with the Nets, and their defense is a lot better. I think that bodes well. Now, we know what Kevin Durant is capable of, especially in the playoffs. Kyrie Irving, former Celtic that Celtics fans obviously don't like. He's been red hot as of late, but you can expose him defensively. But this is going to be a challenge, even though I do think the Celtics do match up well in this matchup. For the latest Celtics news, rumors, playoff coverage, please subscribe, and let's continue to grow this channel, youtube.com/CelticsTV. Let's get to 9,000 subs as soon as possible, as we're just over 8,600. Can we get to 9K before the end of this first round matchup? It's up to you guys. Go ahead and subscribe if you want more coverage. You look at the top scorers for Brooklyn, obviously the dynamic duo we talked about, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, they average over 27 each. Seth Curry, who they got in the Ben Simmons trade, we'll talk Simmons a little bit later, 15 a game. LaMarcus Aldridge, who's been in and out of the rotation at 13 a game, and then Andre Drummond, who was also a part of that Harden-Simmons trade at 12 points per game. For Boston, they're similarly matched up. You got their 2 main guys, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, each averaging 23 or more. Marcus Smart, who should be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, 12 points per game. Derrick White coming over from San Antonio, pitching in 11. And then Al Horford at just over 10 points per game. Remember, Robert Williams is banged up. We'll talk about him a little bit later as well. Some reasons you should subscribe to Celtics Today: competitive nature. Come on, don't you want your team to win? You got to rep your squad. Let's get more subscribers here on Celtics Today. Videos all year long. Draft, free agency once this offseason gets here, plus some mailbag shows that we will work in, especially this offseason. And most importantly, it's free. It's not like we're asking you to enter your credit card like some of these websites are. Hit the sub button, turn on the notifications. We'll have you covered with more Celtics videos. Let's talk about Kevin Durant here, who obviously, is, for my money, the best scorer in the modern era, maybe in NBA history, just as a pure isolation guy. 30 points per game, 52% from the field. He is absolutely spectacular. You're not going to stop him. You might make it hard on him, but he's going to get his. And look, Kyrie Irving probably is too. I think obviously he's going to be fresh, having been a part-time player throughout most of this season. 27.5 points per game. He can really get it going. He was fantastic against the Cavaliers, but I will mention that the Celtics defense shouldn't make it much tougher on him. The question is, Could Ben Simmons play? Is he in or is he out? There's been some chatter that he's ramping up his basketball activity, that we could see him in the first round for Brooklyn. Even if we do, I'm guessing he wouldn't start, at least at first, but, did not play at all in the regular season. But it sounds like there's chatter that he's ramping it up and could be available for the Nets in the postseason. So obviously that would give Brooklyn an X factor. Will Simmons play against the Celtics? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I don't think he'll play game one, but maybe he does play at some point in this series. I got to see it to believe it. Get your votes in, Y for yes or N for no. You talk about the Celtics lead dog specifically, Jayson Tatum, 27-8 this year. Just really, really continues to grow as a player and as a leader for this team. He makes this team go. So does Jaylen Brown, is one of the top two-way players in the NBA, 23.5 points, over 47% from the field as well. This duo needs to at least give you similar output to what the Nets duo of Kyrie and KD are going to give you. Now, while we're wondering about Ben Simmons, I think there's less to worry about with Robert Williams. Doesn't sound like he's going to be available in this first-round series. The injury, when it happened, suggested second round would be around the timetable when he would return. And last we heard a couple days ago that timeline is still kind of where we sit. Maybe if this goes 6 or 7 games, he could give you some minutes late in the series. But it does not sound like the Celtics big, who had a really nice year, is going to be available. So that makes things a little bit tougher down low. Al Horford obviously going to have to give you a little bit more there. But the good news is the Nets don't exactly have, elite big men. Like LaMarcus Aldridge isn't going to go for 30 points a game. So I think you can get by without Robert Williams if you are Boston. Who's going to be the MVP of this series? Let us know in the comments section down below. It's going to be one of those big four, but depending on who wins it. Kyrie, KD, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, one of those will be the MVP. Quick keys to victory. I think the Celtics duo needs to at least match, if not outplay, the Nets duo, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And even if the raw stats aren't better, play more defense. We know Kyrie doesn't defend, so you gotta get more out of your duo than their duo. Marcus Smart, he's got to be an X factor. He's got to be a dog on the defensive end. He's got to guard Kyrie and make it tough on him. Maybe even get switched on Kevin Durant from time to time as well. He thinks he's the defensive player of the year. Go prove it. Go make it tough on two of the best scorers in the world. And that kind of lies into point 3, and I think this is where this series is going to be won. Celtics defense needs to stay elite. This is the best defense for my money in the NBA this year. And in the playoffs, defense wins championships. I truly do believe that in the NBA. Teams ramp it up defensively, and the Celtics defense is far superior. As great as KD and Kyrie are, and Durant's actually a pretty good defender, but when Kyrie's on the floor this year, the Nets are one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA based on efficiency. You got to exploit that matchup. Even if he's giving them 25, 30 points a game, you got to go after him. You got to make Kyrie pay for being on the floor defensively, because he just does not do it well. So I think that's where this series will be won. You got to win on the defensive end, and that's how Boston was able to win 3 of 4 in the regular season. So there you go. Some keys to victory, some key players, some matchups. Who wins it? Who wins this series this year? Type C for the Celtics, type N for the Nets. Let us know, and we'll see you soon here on the channel.